So, I'm going to take this test. First question. Is there a history of diabetes in my family? Yes, there is. Do I tire quickly or seem always to be fatigued? No. Do you urinate frequently? Yes, and that's only because I intake a lot of water during the day, usually about 2 liters. Are you constantly thirsty? No. Is your vision blurred? Yes, but I don't know if it has to do with sugar or if that's just because I used to play a lot of video games. Have you suddenly lost weight? No. Are you overweight? No. Do you eat excessively? Yes, usually I will binge eat, surprisingly. I'm not getting anything from it. Do your wounds heal slowly? No, actually I heal very fast. Is your skin frequently itchy? No. And I've never actually heard of that being a symptom of diabetes. Very interesting. Alright, so next is examine the relationship between health and wellness by discussing the impact of diabetes on at least 3 dimensions of wellness. Okay? I have chosen the physical, emotional, and intellectual dimension. Diabetes affects glucose sugar production from the pancreas. Without that sugar, your body does not have excess energy reserves from that sugar. So it affects physical by decreasing energy, which makes living harder. Next is emotional. Diabetes affects the times and amount of food you can ingest. Some foods that you have previously loved and felt as if they were your comfort food, as some may call it, may have deadly consequences if ingested with diabetes. Because you always have to watch what you eat, and your emotional can be out because you don't have that comfort food anymore. You can't just go and binge eat ice cream. Ben & Jerry's is a great example of it. Okay, and next up is, last but not least, intellectual. My mother is a perfect example of this. She has diabetes. My mother knows what she should eat and when she should eat, how much water she should drink a day, how much she should exercise, when and why she needs to take her insulin and check her sugar, but she refuses to do so. She says that it's too much work, which is very immature. But I can understand it. She's used to eating whatever she wants and not having anybody tell her anything different. But now they always have to stay on to do this and do that. Moving on. Identify 3 lifestyle habits a person can practice to reduce his or her risk of type 2 diabetes. Now, these are a little bit non-conventional methods, and that's just because that's what I studied. That's what I'm going to school for. So, the first one is kind of conventional. Then you get less sugary foods. The more sugar you have, the less your body needs to make. And that can cause hypoglycemia, which means you make excess sugar if you don't get enough sugar. If you get too much, it's complicated how it all works. Next up is, if you do take in a lot of sugar, make sure you work it off. Don't just eat a bunch of cake and then just sit there. The sugar's just going to go and it's just going to turn into fat, and that's just bad. So if you're going to at least eat something like that, make sure you're active at least. Now, next up is a little bit non-conventional. They need to add cinnamon to the diet. It goes great with anything, and it's found everywhere. It's in people's pantry. A lot of the cooking spices and herbs, a lot of people don't realize are great for them, but they need to add them more. Now, from a clinical study published in the Diabetes Care Journal in 2003 suggests that cassia cinnamon bark, improves blood glucose and cholesterol levels in people with type 2 diabetes, and may also reduce factors associated with diabetes and cardiovascular disease. So, my interpretation of that is it improves glucose. So it probably increases your pancreas' ability to produce insulin. So that's how I feel that it would be good, is add cinnamon and some other herbs too, but I don't have time to list all those. And last but not least, very short periods of fasting have also been found to assist in managing and preventing diabetes, if not already. But if you already are a diabetic, fasting is a horrible idea. And that's just because of the fact that, especially if your body doesn't produce enough sugar. You can pass out because you don't have any food. Especially if you're at work, bad idea. Now, if you're not a diabetic, fasting is good. But always consult with your doctor before performing any type of fast. And that concludes the presentation. Hope you learned something.